Sophie's skin burned beneath the borrowed lace of her sister's wedding gown, yet it was not the fabric that made her tremble. It was fear, raw, consuming fear that shook her bones as she stood before the altar. St. George's Church lay drowned in a sepulchral hush, broken only by the steady drumming of rain against ancient stained glass. Candles flickered like nervous witnesses. The priest, an old man with weary eyes and a trembling voice, cleared his throat and spoke the sacred words. "Do you accept?" "Yes, I do." The answer escaped her lips as a fragile whisper, a lie spoken beneath the gaze of heaven itself. "And you," the priest continued, turning, "Sebastian, Lord Blackwood, Marquis of Thornfield, do you accept this woman as your lawful wife?" Sophie held her breath. This woman, not Clara, not the golden-haired beauty promised by contract, the daughter sold to erase her father's ruin. This woman was Sophie, the unnoticed sister, the shadow who lived beside perfection. "I accept." Sebastian's voice was deep and resonant, like distant thunder rolling across empty hills. "Then, by the authority vested in me, I declare you husband and wife. You may kiss the bride." The moment Sophie had feared since dawn arrived at last. Her hands, hidden within silk gloves far too large for her, clenched into fists. Sebastian turned toward her. Even through the dense Brussels lace veil, she felt the weight of his presence. They called him the Beast of Yorkshire for a reason. He was tall, broad-shouldered, carved from severity and command. Cold authority radiated from him, the kind that made men bow and women tremble, sometimes in fear, sometimes in forbidden fascination. He lifted his hands to remove the veil. His fingers brushed Sophie's temple. The touch was strangely gentle for a man with such a reputation. The lace rose. Sophie squeezed her eyes shut, bracing for shouts, for scandal, for outrage. But none came, only silence, a heavy, dreadful silence pressed down upon the church. Slowly, drawing on courage she never knew she possessed, Sophie opened her eyes. Sebastian was staring at her. He did not blink. His eyes, so dark a blue they were nearly black, moved over her face with ruthless precision. Sophie saw the exact instant understanding struck him. Confusion hardened into realization, realization ignited into glacial fury. He did not shout, he did not recoil. That would have been merciful. Instead, he leaned closer, invading her space until she could smell sandalwood and danger on his skin. "Where is she?" he whispered. The words were meant for her alone, low and lethal. "She's gone," Sophie replied, her voice trembling though her chin lifted in defiance. "If there were no wedding today, my father would be in debtor's prison by morning. You wanted a miller bride. You have one." Sebastian let out a short, humorless laugh that chilled her blood. "Do you think this is a trade of goods?" he murmured, his thumb brushing her cheek in a gesture that felt like a caress and a threat all at once. "The contract is signed," Sophie clinging to law as her only shield. "We are married." Sebastian straightened, towering once more. He turned toward the congregation, hundreds of London's elite waiting eagerly for the kiss. A cruel smile curved his lips. "Come, my wife," he announced. "Let us not keep the carriage waiting. I am eager to celebrate our union." He seized Sophie's hand with crushing force and dragged her down the aisle. She stumbled to keep pace with his long, furious strides. They passed her father, pale and sweating, unable to meet her eyes. They passed whispering ladies speculating about the groom's haste. Outside, the cold London air struck Sophie's face, sharp and unforgiving, yet nothing compared to the chill spreading through her chest. The Marquis's carriage waited, black, imposing, adorned with the Blackwood crest in gold, a wolf devouring a rose. Sebastian all but threw her inside and followed, slamming the door so hard the carriage shuddered. "To the train station!" he barked. "Do not stop!" The carriage lurched forward. In the dim interior, Sophie pressed herself into the corner. Sebastian ripped off his white silk tie and flung it to the floor. He stretched his long legs toward her, his boots brushing the hem of her gown. "You have 10 seconds," he said coldly, fixing her with a predator's stare. 10 seconds to tell me why I should not stop this carriage, throw you into the mud, and destroy your family. "Clara ran away last night with a poet. She left no note. My father was shattered. He spoke of ending his life. If you did not receive a bride today, you would have executed the deaths. We had no choice." "There is always a choice," Sebastian cut in. "And what would you have done?" Sophie challenged, anger flaring despite her fear. "Shown mercy? Forgiven the debt? London knows you show no mercy. You would have crushed my father without blinking." Sebastian studied her in silence, his gaze stripping her bare of secrets and insecurities. "You are correct," he said at last. "I do not forgive debts." He leaned closer. "You believed marrying me was the lesser evil, a fatal miscalculation. Welcome to my world, Lady Blackwood. You have entered the wolf's den, and the door has closed behind you." The carriage turned northward, away from London, away from everything Sophie knew, and for the first time since she donned the gown, she feared not for her father or her name, but for her heart. The journey was an exercise in silent torment. Hours passed without a word. At dusk, Blackwood Manor rose from the moors, a dark stone fortress clawing at the sky. Inside, servants stared. Orders were barked. Doors were locked. "My wife will sleep in my chambers." That night, fear waited beside a vast velvet-draped bed. And yet, mercy, unexpected and sharp as lightning, stayed the beast's hand. Days passed. Silence ruled the manor. Then came books, a forbidden library, a challenge, and storms. On the moors, Sophie was lost, cold, broken, fading, until Sebastian came for her like a force of nature, terror in his eyes. "You could have died," he said, holding her as though the world might tear her away. And when Clara returned, radiant and cruel, demanding her place, Sebastian chose. Not the diamond, the fire. "She is my wife, and I would choose her glass ablaze over your frozen brilliance every time." Love was not gentle in Blackwood Manor. It was forged, and in a house of shadows and stone, two wounded souls discovered that the truest home is not built by contracts or beauty, but by courage, truth, and a love fierce enough to face the storm together.